In my first year of life, they predicted my death. I didn't die. I'm here. I'm safe. I'm healthy, and I'm strong. But they predicted my death. I had this diagnosis with my blood platelets, this deficiency, and I had bruises all over my body. And I'm not going to pretend to have any personal recollection of it. I was a baby, but I imagine that even as a baby, I didn't have any strong attachment to life, if that's what this life was, bruises. My sister wasn't around. She was 3 years younger than me, and I wonder sometimes if that's why she looked up to me so much, like little sisters do. But she wanted to go everywhere with me, even kindergarten. She was 3 years old, and she insisted on going to kindergarten with me. So this little girl with this hair that stuck out, she was the cutest little girl, would carry this lunchbox that she could barely hold and waddle into kindergarten with me. Eventually, she realized that I'm not that cool, and she did her own things in life. She did big things. She modeled her eyes when she was in elementary school and got paid for it, saved the money. She worked in fashion in undergrad, abroad in places like Australia and New Zealand. And right after undergrad, she landed into the corporate world and has been building her career since. So I'm so proud of her. She's very successful. And I wondered sometimes, how did she do this? How did this all come so easily to her? Our parents didn't necessarily model ease in life. They had their struggles, which we learned from, but they each had multiple divorces, they each had financial struggles, and luckily me and my siblings, none of us are divorced, and our finances are solid, so we learned. My father always had this pessimistic look on life, the glass is always half empty, and my mother always saw rainbows. She couldn't see anything past that, so I love my parents so much, but I felt like they had these blinders on, these chosen blinders. And maybe we all do to some extent. We have coping mechanisms and things that we use to get through the day, the week, any moment in life. And I love my parents so much. But I know how amazing my sister is because she has blinders that she didn't choose. When she was little, she would walk into things a lot, like telephone poles on the street. And my mom would ask her why she was being so clumsy. My poor mom didn't know. My sister would say, "But I can't see." Eventually she got glasses. She was 4 years old and she had these really thick glasses. Was probably the only 4-year-old with glasses. But that didn't stop people. Maybe it increased the attention she got to her eyes, because she has these green, gorgeous eyes, beautiful cat eyes, I heard them called. And people would stop my mom in the grocery store to say, "I'm sorry, I just have to admire these beautiful eyes." Today, my sister's green eyes are fading, her retinas are fading, and she's losing her sight. The doctors say she'll be blind by age 40, which gives her 13 years left to see. And the vision changes, in different aspects, but she's got about 60% lost in some areas, and she can't see in indoor spaces or places without strong artificial light, and she uses a walking stick as of this year to get around. When I think of her diagnosis, though, at first it was so difficult. At first I was angry. I was angry at the doctors, and I wondered how they could do this to someone, how they could put a burden on a person, such as telling them to prepare for life without a sense. And my stance was, she can see now, so we should appreciate that and do everything to keep that and keep taking care so that it gets better. But my sister said that perspective wasn't helpful, and she wants us to be on board with the diagnosis and ready, preparing with her. I think back sometimes to other diagnoses in my family, including my own when I was little. I had a pretty strong one, but I made it, I'm fine. And even though my immunity was compromised pretty severely, I'm good, and maybe there's a chance that my immunity is stronger because of it. And I almost can't say that about my sister, but is there any way that with this loss of vision she's experiencing, our family is gaining perspective? She's amazing. She is losing her vision, but she's going through airports with a walking stick to travel all over the world for her corporate job. She runs marathons. She did 2 in 2 weeks last year, even if sometimes she runs into the traffic cones and knocks them over because she can't see them. And I'll close with one story on perspective, because the chosen blinders that some of us have, some of us didn't choose. And when I say blinders, it could also be a web that we spin ourselves, tangled webs, chosen blinders. So in December, we visited my father in Costa Rica. My sister hadn't seen him in a decade, maybe 12 years. And I shook, and she did too, as I walked her over to greet him. She was holding onto my elbow for guidance. I was watching her step, letting her know when to come down from the curb on the sidewalk that she can no longer see. And my father, very pessimistic father, pretends he doesn't cry. And for her sake, I was glad that she probably couldn't see him welling up. Later that evening, my niece, who's 7 years old, insisted on going to the carnival. And it didn't make sense for my sister because she can't do much at night. But my niece is 7 years old, so we went. And she also insisted on guiding my sister. So my 7-year-old niece is guiding her 27-year-old aunt through this carnival, telling her out loud about all the colors and the rides and the lights so that she can imagine it. And she's also looking down at her feet, letting her know when there's a cable to walk over so that she doesn't trip. And my father and I and my older brother are standing behind them, walking. My father is silent for, a rare occurrence in his life. And every now and then, a tear comes down from his eye. Thank you.